Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Angry Dave podcast. I'm Angry Dave. This is episode 2 with my special guest, Motown Mike. That's his new nickname, and he doesn't like it, and I don't give a fuck because this is my podcast. Mike, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everyone. My name is not Motown Mike, but I hope everybody's having a great day today.
Tell everybody how we know each other.
I think we met at school, fifth grade. I guess we were around 11 or 12 years old, and then quickly figured out that we lived around the corner from one another. The rest is history, 30 years.
Yeah, we've been friends for 30 straight years. I guess we lost touch for a couple of years in between when you were out doing some shit and I was in school. But otherwise, I mean, I think we threw each other around one time, but we really haven't been ever in a fight in those 30 years, have we?
No, no, one time, that was it. And we
Hmm.
were young enough where we couldn't hurt each other, which was good.
Right. Something started over tokens or some shit. Let's start out from the beginning. You born in 1976, right? You got a birthday coming up here.
Couple weeks, yeah, a couple weeks. I'll be 47 years old.
Where were you born? What was the situation around that time? Tell us about that.
Well, it was the bicentennial, like you. You and I are 15 days apart. Born at Methodist Hospital in South Philly at Broad and Wolf. Never really moved far away from there for long until I became a father and an older adult. But yeah, grew up a bunch of different spots in South Philly. We moved around a little bit when I was young. Parents split when I was very young, so there was a lot of movement, new jobs, new apartments, things like that in my early life.
You have an older sister.
I do. We're 13 months apart. Would seem a lot closer than that in age a lot of times, but yeah, I do.
What's your first memory? Talk about your first memory. What do you got?
I remember being, I guess, very young, probably like 3 years old like most people, when you start to capture memories. I remember, if I can go as far back as I possibly can, riding my big wheel up and down Hamburger Street. We lived on the 2000 block of Hamburger Street, which is right off of 22nd and Snyder. Going up and down the street, riding back and forth, with my dog chasing me. Those were good times. I think I have a picture or two of me on my big wheel, which brings me right back as soon as I see it.
Where'd you go to school?
So we moved as a family to East Falls for a short period of time, probably for about 2 years with my mother. And I started school there at a place called St. Bridget's, and that's where I went to first grade. And then right after that, we quickly moved back to South Philly and went to Stephen Gerrard at 18th and Snyder and kept on going through there to Gamp.
And then you left Camp what, 11th grade?
I left Gamp at the beginning of 11th grade involuntarily. Uh, grades weren't holding up. I wasn't focused on school at all, and yeah, had to leave camp.
Tell us about like your grade school years. Like what was going on then? How was life like?
So school was great. School was always really good for me. Like actually being in school, I liked it. I was good at it. It was easy for me. In middle school, those times were real simple for me. Teachers always gave me great accolades. I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet into being cocky and a little bit arrogant, so I was still very innocent at that time, and that was school. At home, my mom worked all the time. She sometimes worked 2 jobs. My sister and I were alone a lot, and dad wasn't really around too much. I would see him from time to time. So school was the place where I felt really comfortable.
Good memories at that time, like in grade school, middle school. What were your best memories from that time?
I sit and think about that. I don't know if I have many. I don't know if I really remember many. And for me, generally, when you have memories, you focus on the bad stuff. That's what sticks out the most. So to me, maybe there wasn't that much bad stuff.
Right. How about the bad stuff? Like I know you had a tough relationship with your dad during those years. What was going on in your mind about that, about your dad and that relationship? How are you like dealing with that back then, if you can remember?
I feel like looking back at it, like how I dealt with it then, I thought it was normal. I didn't know any different. I thought that was just okay. That one of your parents wasn't around, didn't spend a lot of time with them. And I remember the feeling of constantly being let down. There were several times when I sat waiting for my father to come pick me up and didn't show. Those were his shortcomings as a person. Looking back at it as I got older, as I became a father, I began to understand, that some men are not really good at parenting. But I started to gain insight, around maybe the time I met you or even before that, that everybody's parents were different. And just because both of your parents were present didn't mean it was a better situation.
Right. Do you recall when you first realized that, your dad not being around was something that might not be right? You recall that?
I do. Because my relatives, my aunts and uncles, particularly my grandmother, wasn't shy about telling me what a piece of shit my father was. I would always feel horrible when I heard that. But then I kind of started to realize that maybe piece of shit wasn't the right term, but there was some truth to it, and I would start to, I don't know, necessarily blame him, but I think I put up a little bit of a wall where I didn't really want that relationship anymore after a certain period of time.
Yeah. Let's talk about the relationship with your mom. How was that during that time, like as a kid?
I was a mama's boy, up until my mom passed. But going all the way back then, I couldn't get enough of my mom. My mom babied me, and I think it's because she knew that I had a void there, that my father left. And also as a younger me, I was very sensitive. I was very sensitive. I felt a lot. I was emotional. I was a nice kid. So when my feelings were hurt, I'm sure that the people who cared about me, my mother being the most important one, her feelings were hurt along with me.
Yeah. When we met, I remember you as a nice kid who used to, not care too much what people thought about him, and I always admired that from you because I was always worried about, I was always second guessing everything about myself. So I remember that. I think I gave you some confidence in like not being bullied. I don't know, or about realizing that not everybody's your fucking friend, and you sort of gave me a little bit of confidence of trying to be outside myself a little bit.
Yeah,
And
around you did do that, and I think you know, I everyone's not out to be your friend. Everyone wasn't doesn't want to be nice to you. Even 12-year-old kids can be very malicious and using, and you don't see that right away. You give or I did anyway. I was so kind that I would give everyone a million chances. Yeah, you did teach me to stick up for myself so that I wouldn't be used
yeah, used, I guess.
as a joke or as whatever.
Yeah, well, and then I don't know that it was always a good thing, but I was sort of the opposite end of the spectrum. I was always, um, leery about fucking everybody.
You're always guarded.
I was
Yeah.
always guarded. Yeah. Talk about talk about your relationship with your sister. Like how was that growing up? How were you guys?
When we were kids, 18 and under, we had a very close relationship. My sister kind of looked out for me a lot. She used to kick my ass all the time. It was very physical, which I think a lot of siblings go through, especially siblings who are close to one another. You get in fights, you get in wrestling matches, you get in shoving matches over anything, over something stupid. Who ate the last Pop Tart? Why did you wear my sweatshirt? Why did you tell on me that I did this? There's always something. But my sister generally kinda took care of me, as we were young children, made sure I had something to eat, made sure I was home on time, because my mom wasn't around a lot.
Yeah. Did your sister enjoy having me around so she could beat the shit out of me as well?
Absolutely. It was like an added bonus, plus you were small, so it wasn't, like a token, like a bonus, "Here you go."
Uh,
Here,
I
make
have I have one memory. I think you know this memory about the two of you literally fucking pinned me on the ground for like an hour and a half, just wrestling me and beating the shit out of me.
just torturing
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
torture. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah.
you came over to play, so we played. So,
You miserable motherfucker. Let's talk about best memory as a kid. What was your best memory? You would say.
I don't know, you know, that's a tough question to answer just off the top of your head. I have tons of memories. I used to love, it sounds simple, but ride my bike, because it would give us a chance to get out of the neighborhood. We spent a lot of time down by the sports complexes and being out and about, especially in the summertime with no agenda, no schedule, just that freedom. When you started to gain that freedom, and I don't think it was that unsafe back then. Maybe we were naive to it, maybe we didn't see it, but it didn't feel that way. It felt like we could do whatever we wanted. The worst thing that was going to happen is somebody's going to yell at us and tell us to go home. Those were good memories for me. Of course, everybody has their own personal memories with their family or their grandma, or, things like that. Some of my memories were kind of shitty, with family members and things that I saw. We had a lot going on in our extended family.
So, let's talk about that a little bit. Well, first, I know obviously your mom was the center of your life back then. Anybody else that you would say was really important? Somebody who was really like the center of your life, important kind of a person.
As a young child, not really. I did have a babysitter. Her first name was Teresa. I won't give her last name, but she really, really kept me close to her. She would take me to games a lot. We spent a lot of time at Capitol playgrounds. She was on a softball team there, so kind of took me under her wing to go and be a part of all that.
But are those good memories?
They are every
Uh,
single one of them. Teresa are. Every single one of them. I still see her as an adult. We work for the same organization. We cross paths every once in a while, and it always brings me back to being a little kid. And just to look at her, I remember her kindness towards me.
Shout out to Teresa and being kind. She wasn't that much older than us, is that right?
I don't know. I think Teresa now is probably about 60,
Okay,
so she's probably about 13 years older.
all
Yeah,
right,
I guess when I was 10 or 11, she must have been 25, 26 years old.
right. All right, let's talk about the shit that was going on.
Yeah, a lot of shit.
What's your worst memory?
Yeah, I don't know if I could share it. I don't
Yeah,
know if I could share it depending on our audience, but I had a family member who did some inappropriate things. We'll leave it on that one. And I think if we're being honest with each other and just having a conversation, that's probably my worst memory.
yeah,
It's definitely my most uh, suppressed memory. One
yeah,
that I tried for years to try to like work through and figure out, and I did eventually, but I didn't understand it. For a
yeah.
long time.
How did you think that shaped you in any way, if it did? Like, is that something that you kept with you? You think it's affected relationships and those types of things coming
I
into
I
life?
don't think it has as an adult. I held that with me until that relative passed away. And then maybe a day or 2 later, I was having lunch with my mother, and I told her. And I don't know why I did that. I think that I didn't want it to explode how I knew it would. I don't think it shaped me as an adult, although it may have. It does make me more guarded with my own children,
Yeah,
and other people's children. I'm definitely always looking for behavior patterns, clues, ticks. I think I've let it go as the years have gone on, but I don't know if it's possible for me to say that it shaped me or affected me in a negative way as far as the development of my life.
yeah.
I don't think that it has.
How about the other shit? The other shit though going on. There's
Yeah, so a lot of other shit. There was a lot of illegal activity in my extended family that definitely shaped me.
you feel comfortable talking about some of the shit that was in your basement?
Yeah, well, that's the illegal activity.
Oh,
That's part of it. So yeah, my mom, I told you, worked 2 jobs, tried to keep us going, and made some extra money by keeping large trash bags full of put your guess there. What kind of money making substance that was. So
uh,
that was always around. That was just a part of our family. It was just that green leafy substance in large quantities was always around. Even as a kid, it was just normal, and I think that definitely shaped me in my late teen, early 20 years on how to make some money.
so all right, let's talk about you're now coming into high school. What's going on in your life at that point? How you feeling? What happens? In those next 4 years.
Yeah, the beginning of high school, I was in ninth grade when we moved. Dave, you and I lived a block away from each other for a long time. We moved to Fourth and More, and I believe I was in ninth grade when that happened, maybe going into ninth grade. And I needed to have an edge because I moved to a neighborhood that wasn't real familiar to me, that was edgy, that did have some elements there. And I think at that same time, I was hitting my time in my teenage years where I was, selling my oats a little bit, feeling myself, and I got a little tougher by necessity, and I don't think that served me well, but that's what happened.
To talk about that. I actually talked about that in my first podcast. Just about I realized really young. I guess when we crossed paths, I was learning that my ability to get angry and lose my fucking shit on a dime and be like the craziest person around was a real benefit for the street. You know, it's not a benefit for relationships or adulthood, but it was a benefit and probably saved me on the street. You know, is that something that you felt, or how did it materialize for you?
No, not initially, it had to happen a few times. I had to get in a couple fights, I had to get stuck up a couple times, I had to start being around guns and, people who used them, and then I realized that I was kinda tough, and I was like, "Okay, you know, I'm not gonna let anybody," and there had been years and years of me just being nice and eating shit all the time from,
Yeah,
mean people,
yeah.
and once I realized that I really did not have to do that anymore, it made me quicker to put my hands up, it made me quicker to hurt somebody, and I think that was probably again, it served me in my environment, but it wasn't a good thing.
So, what are the biggest takeaways you take from your childhood, from that early life that sort of shapes you and makes you the person that you are now, and how you want to raise your kids, and those types of things? What do you take from that time?
Primarily, it made me the father I am, and I examine that all the time. I guess we'll get into it a little bit later, but, I raised my son primarily by myself because there was no fucking way in the world that I was gonna allow him to feel like his father wasn't there for him, and I think that's the same way with my daughter. My daughter and I, my daughter's mother and I, we raised her separately, but we worked out to a good team. So my early childhood experiences of feeling abandoned by my father definitely made me a much more involved father than I am. I think those experiences that we were just referring to about, like, me being nice all the time, but then being tough when I had to, absolutely shaped the man that I am. I try to be as nice as I possibly can to people, always give people the benefit of the doubt, and don't prejudge them, but, there is that other side to it that kinda snaps quick, when necessary, and that has served me too. So, yeah, my early childhood experiences absolutely have a direct relationship, between the man I become.
How about your affinity for wearing two different color filas?
Express myself. Express myself. So that goes back to you saying, when we met that I helped you come out of your shell a little bit, you toughened me up a little bit. Absolutely. So I did not give a shit about what anybody thought. I was going to wear whatever I wanted. I wasn't going to care if you made fun of me in my mind. And you can make fun of me and you probably did hurt my feelings. Not you particularly, but you in general. And in the back of my mind, I'm probably saying, yeah, but you don't have the balls to do it. Like, you don't have the balls to try this,
Yeah,
and I knew that.
it was true. It was true. I'm going to tell a story right now that I know that your mother loved. We were one time, what, about 13, 14 years old. We were going to meet some girls in the neighborhood, and you get all fucking dressed up, and it was around the time biker shorts were
I was beautiful.
a phenomenon. Biker shorts.
I was beautiful.
You come out in some fucking biker shorts and colorful felines, and your fucking little sack is hanging out, and you got some twig and berries showing, and I'm like,
I think I could describe it better because I
yeah,
remember the outfit because I bought it.
go for it, go
So
for it,
yeah,
kid.
so it was definitely vertical yellow and white striped biker shorts
Hmm.
with a matching yellow tank top that may or may not have been tucked in. I don't remember if it was tucked in or not.
It has to be tucked in.
Now the suede felines, they were another story. I don't remember what I had on my feet then, but knowing myself, I can't imagine that it wasn't yellow. Because the yellow and white striped biker pants and the yellow tank top. I mean, what else are you gonna wear on your feet?
You come out of the house in a beautiful,
Beautiful.
beautiful outfit, and you walk up to me. I'm like, Mike, I'm not going anywhere.
I think my mother was laughing at me
Well,
when I
this,
came down
yeah.
the steps.
So, right, your mother told you. This is what your mother told you. She said, Mike, you shouldn't go out like that. You're like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. No, Mike, you shouldn't go out like that. No, I'm fine. You walk out the door. You get down the steps. I see you. I'm like, I'm not going fucking anywhere with you, looking like that. And you're like, well, I'm going. I'm
I'm
going.
going.
And you took like 10 more steps, and then you went back to the house and got
Yeah, yeah.
changed.
You know, every beautiful expression has its limits.
Mm. Oh fuck. All right. So we're up to you graduated high school, right? You
I
left
did,
you went
surprisingly.
well, why surprise? Why surprise?
Barely by the skin of my teeth. So, throughout my whole entire academic career up until high school, I was a very good student. And then I lost my fucking mind for no reason whatsoever and just didn't care about school anymore. So when I went to Furnace High School, in 11th grade after camp graciously asked me to leave. And again, did not care about school once I got to Furnace. Once I got there, I realized that the curriculum there was an absolute joke to me. So I didn't have to pay attention in any class or even go to most of those classes. I would go on test days and, really took school like a joke. And it almost bit me in my senior year, getting close to the end of senior year, and I needed to pull some grades up. And I remember sitting in the library towards the end of the school year, retaking two final exams. One was in chemistry, and I forget what the other one was, but just to graduate. And it just so happens that those two classes were the last two periods of my schedule, which I never went to. I would go to the first four periods, hit lunch, and leave. And that was my day.
You graduate by the skin of your teeth. What's next? When you're 18, what do you do at that point? I actually don't know this.
So by the time I graduated, I was already a barback at Dickens Inn at Second and Lombard, and I was making a ton of money. I was making a lot of money. I'd work like 4 nights a week and make like $1,000 to $1,200 cash, and I was just living high on a hog at that point. I was making more money than my parents made, and you couldn't tell me shit. I had a nice car, I had a little motorcycle, had new clothes all the time. I had a good time. I was, selling a little green leafy substance on the side, and yeah, when I was 18, I moved into a second and third floor apartment above the corner where we all hung out. So my house was like the hangout. I would be at work and there would be massive parties going on in my house.
And what ended that run?
What ended that run,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest about it? Yeah, I was getting extorted. I was getting extorted by somebody. So I said, "Fuck this! I'm not going to die over." And it was a real deal extortion. I was like, "I'm not going to die," and sold all my stuff and moved down the shore.
What you do then? How long were you down the shore for?
I was in North Cape May, living with my father for about a year, and then I got my own place down there for about another year and a half. And honestly, those couple years were fantastic. I mean, they were fantastic. They got me out of the city. They got me closer to my father. I had a great job down there. I got to experience being around different people that did different things. Um, yeah, it helped a lot.
And then what made you leave the shore? What had happened next?
Michael's mom, Michael's mom, used to come to visit me all the time, and one of the times she came to visit, I put Michael in her.
How old were you when little Michael was born?
I was 23 when she was pregnant. I was 24 when he was born.
And tell me about how that changed your life.
Amazingly. So, when we found out she was pregnant, I did everything I could while I was at the shore to try to put as much money together as possible. Got us a nice house up here at the Avenue in Snyder, and I was ready to be a father. I fully embraced it. I didn't shy away from that at all. It wasn't scary to me. I just looked forward to it every single day before he was born, and I was ready to be a dad.
And then you came back up to Philly and you got your, current career pretty quickly. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I came back up, I was working in a friend's store, Joe Huff. And I worked with him for a while. He paid me very well. I had a lot of responsibility for him. Took care of a lot of stuff that had to do with the store. We had a great relationship. And then, Michael was born and he was a few months old, and I realized I need some benefits. I need to start, planning ahead. And yeah, so I got a job at Penn, and that's where I started my career.
Let's talk about Joe a little bit. Important person in your adult life.
Extremely important. So Joe was my mother's best friend, and they had been friends for years. But Joe really became a big part of my life. I guess around the time we moved around 4th Street, around the time I was like 16 years old. Joe was a very positive male influence in my life. Joe was very open about the fact that he was gay, and that was also, I think, good for me to accept that there could be a strong male role model in my life. It made me very accepting of different people and what their choices were. Yeah, he was like a father for me. He gave me very good advice. He gave me tough talks. He told me the truth about myself. And those things were important because at that time nobody else really could.
You talked about raising Michael. Talk about that experience.
Uh, the the beginning of it was very hard, very 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 hard. His mother and I split when he was 6 months old. We had a very violent and angry relationship. And we finally realized, okay, somebody's got to get hurt. So we stopped seeing each other. In the beginning, thinking like a lot of different situations. She blamed me. She hated me, and I hated her, to be honest. So Michael got caught in between that. Thankfully, he was too young to realize that. But there was a lot of push and pull, a lot of court time, a lot of custody agreements, a lot of lawyer fees, just to try to have a normal relationship with him. Um, and that went on for years. It finally started to get a little bit better, and then his mom faded out of his life and really didn't want to be a part of it anymore when he was 7. So I took custody of him, and he hasn't had a relationship with her since.
Single dad, raising a kid on your own. Tell people about that. Tell people about that struggle and what's your advice to them?
Don't do it. Yeah, don't do that. And if you do find yourself in that situation, do everything you can not to let your children feel it. It's going to suck. It's hard. It's impossible, but you can't make it look like it is because that's just going to put stress on everything. It was extremely hard. Working 2 jobs all those years, I found myself in my mother's position all over again. I wasn't married when I took custody of Michael. It was right around the time my marriage ended, but I did have good support there. I did have a good marriage for a little while, and that helped me be a single father. There was some support there, a little bit of help. But yeah, single dad shit, everybody's not built for it. Same thing, single mom shit. People are not built for it. You need to have some help. You need to have some support. You need to have outlets for yourself. Um, so yeah, don't do that if you could avoid it.
Yeah. Your daughter comes around during obviously your marriage, 2006. I
hmm
know that because Jacob was born the same year. Talk about just being a father of a daughter. Let's talk about that.
I didn't know it then, so I didn't know it was going to be different then. I thought it was just going to be the same. It was just another child. I already knew how to be a parent. I already know how I felt about my child. And I'm sure every parent feels that way. You just sacrifice your life for your child without a moment's notice. I didn't know it was going to be different, but it is. So when you have a daughter, your first instinct is protection. I felt that way about my son initially, but once he started to become a boy, growing boy, I felt the need less to just like surround him in a bubble and make sure that he was always protected. A daughter steals your heart. That's what happens. So yeah, she's my princess.
Now, no, they have two different moms, but how's their relationship and how do you try to navigate that?
From the very beginning, I felt like they needed to feel like they were brother and sister because of how much love I had for them. So I wanted them to feel like natural brother and sister. So I've constantly fostered that. Always make sure that they treat each other well, that they feel love from one another, that they spend as much time together as possible. Now it's harder to do now that they're older, but when they were younger, we always did things as a family, and I would even include Madison's extended family and things. I would go to holidays and birthdays and things, and bring Michael and have him be around them because it was so important, and it
Well,
worked.
yeah, yeah, you did a nice job in that. Let's talk about relationships, right? Talk about Michael Bright as a son. How was he as a son?
Good, a very very good son. I would love to have me as a son. So I put my mom through a bunch of shit as a teenager. Just growing and being angry that my dad wasn't around and trying to become a man and always thinking I knew better, but my mom would always check me. So that's just natural growing pains. As an adult son, I think I made both my parents very, very proud. Not with my accomplishments, although they were, there are some there. I did a lot with not a lot, but with the person that I am, the way that I treat people, the way that I raise my kids, the way that I choose my friends. I know my mom was very proud. And my father, as I became older, told me in his own ways how proud of me he was. I do think that my development as a man and a father humbled my dad in some ways because I had outgrown him as a person. And I knew that, he knew that, and we kind of left it unsaid and just moved past it. But it was always there. It was definitely there.
You had a little bit of a rough go with it here with your parents in the last 5 years. I guess let's talk about a little bit your dad first. How was that?
Yeah, so my dad passed away a little over 4 years ago. He became sick probably about 2.5 years prior to that. Tons of medical issues that I guess ended with him getting a heart transplant. So it's diabetes, heart disease. Uh, Finally ended with him getting a heart transplant. Never made it out of the hospital. Had his heart transplant. Had a few healthy days where he was optimistic, and then we were celebrating. And then he landed in the ICU for 2 months, and I had to make the decision on whether or not his life would continue. And that was a tough one. That was a really, really tough time and a very tough decision. And for the most part, I had to do that on my own. I had to do that by myself, which was partly by choice because I didn't want anyone's pity and I wanted to make sure I made the right decisions. And it was partly because there really wasn't anybody else to help step up and be around, and try to make those decisions and walk through that. And that burden was very, very heavy on me. And around the time my father's life ended, my mother became very sick. Um, so yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, just some advice that you might give somebody else who's going through that or in the life shit and dealing with a father or a mother. You have to make that ultimate decision whether you know whether to keep this shit going or just call an end to it.
So the way I approached it is I spoke to the people who I knew cared about me, you being one of them, my mother, stepbrother, who's become a bigger part of my life as I've gotten older. And the other part was speaking to medical professionals. Like I had several meetings with the entire medical team that was involved with my father to try to find out if I was making the right decision. And as I hope you never find out, they will not tell you whether or not you're making the right decision. They will give you the information that they have, and then you're going to have to make that decision. So lean on your support system. Lean on your friends, lean on your family, people who you trust, and people who care about you. They don't need to tell you what they do. They just have to walk you through the steps.
So yeah, you bury your dad and then you go right into taking care of your mom, huh?
Yeah, that's how it worked out. So, yeah, my dad passed, and then we found out that my mother had endometrial cancer. So we did a lot of surgery and chemo and radiation, and that lasted for a long time. And then during that time, unchecked diabetes and heart disease also came into play and eventually took my mother from us, I guess, about 8 months ago. So that was definitely the most trying time of my life, physically taking care of my mother from day to day um, for a long period of time. And again, I was left alone to do that most of the time by myself, try to figure out how to take care of my mom, how to keep an eye on my kids, and how to keep my job all at the same time. And I did it because I am the master of carrying the burden, which I no longer want to be. I don't want to be that person anymore. I feel like after my mom died, I want to and need to not be the person that is responsible for everyone else's health or happiness.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We're basically caught up now, right? Raising kids, taking care of your parents. Your son is now in his 20s. Your daughter's a junior in high school. What's the next 10 years look like? What's on your agenda now?
I keep trying to figure that out, and I don't know. I've lived the last, I guess, over 20 years, always with the "I'll be happy when," constantly setting benchmarks for myself when I'm allowed to enjoy myself, when I'm going to be content, when I'm going to relax, and I'm trying not to do that anymore either. I'm trying just to live every day and be happy with my friends and my family and my current experiences. But something's pulling me. I don't know what it is. And I think it has to do maybe with everything that we just spoke about with raising two kids and going through tough times with my parents that I want something. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I really don't know what it is.
Do you know what it isn't? Like, do you know what you don't want?
I don't want the same thing. I don't want to stay put. I don't want to keep doing what I've been doing. Because I feel like as my kids are getting older, they're leaving me now, right? So the most important things in my life, beyond your friends and things, are your parents and your children. I believe that. So my parents are gone. My son is going to be 23 in a couple weeks. My daughter, I can see her running as far away from South Philly as possible as soon as she's able to. I think. But I think the next step for me kinda hinges on what my daughter does. And I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's the weight that I put on myself, but I'm like, where's she going to go to school? What's she going to do with college? Is she going to need me to be close by her? So I think that's where I am right now.
Do you have any aspirations? I don't know. You want to change careers,
I
do
do. I do want to change careers. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that career is. I believe that it may have something to do with food, but I don't know in what way. I do. I've been at my job this month just passed was 22 years, and I don't know if I want to do more than 25. I don't like. I feel like life goes by quick. If you want to do something, you might as well do it, especially if there's nothing holding you back.
anything else like having a midlife crisis and starting a podcast where you interview your friends.
I think I had 25,000 midlife crises already. I think I've acted on each and every one of them, and I don't think I sold myself short.
Uh, I've been a witness to most of them, and I think I agree with that.
Yeah, no, I've done all those things. I'm good.
All
I'm
right,
good. I just need like a used car and like a moderate checking account. That's about it.
so let's talk about what's it like being in a relationship with you. What's
Probably not good at this point because I have no idea what I'm looking for in a partner. I have no idea, no idea whatsoever. I've been in some shitty relationships, and I've been in some relationships where I was wholeheartedly head over heels in love and would do anything, and they still turn to shit. So I don't know if I'm the best relationship person. I hope that someday that I do get to do that because I think I deserve it. And it's something that I want, but I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what that person looks like or what to even look for in a mate.
how about you as a dad? What's it like to be your son or your daughter?
It probably sucks sometimes because I'm a little overbearing at times, but they understand now because of their age why I do it, and I do it less now. I've come to realize that when you try to do a little too much and you push the bounds of parenting, your child will rebel and push away from you, and that's the last thing I want. So I don't know. My son will tell you in a private moment without me that I'm an amazing father. I'm sure that he would tell you that just because of our bond and our closeness of me being really the only one he has. My daughter would probably tell you that, but not so many words because she's not very, very soft in describing me. But she knows how much I love her. And she knows that it all comes from a good place.
What's it like being Michael Bright's friend? You think?
I mean, you're gonna answer that, right?
No, no, no. I want you to answer that. I know what
Being
it's
my
like.
friend, it's probably. I don't think it's that difficult. I think you got to put up with some shit. I think you have to put up with some questionable decisions, maybe some unreturned calls. But I do think that when it matters most, I'm right next to you, and I'm giving you exactly what you need. And because my whole circle of friends are men like us, and I've cultivated that. If you can't answer the bell when it rings, then yeah, we're probably not going to be friends.
What advice would you give the 20-year-old Michael?
Plan ahead, put some money away, absolutely put some money away, and to live in the moment. To constantly don't look forward. I mentioned earlier I'd set those benchmarks and if and whens for myself to be happy. Don't do it. And I did a lot of living in the moment. I don't want to act like I sold myself short, like I didn't have a great time along the way. But enjoy every second as it comes, because they're all unique and you never get them back.
And what do you think 20-year-old Michael would say about 40, almost 47-year-old Michael?
You did okay. Like you did okay. Like if I was 20-year-old me and had to take who I am and where I am in my life right now at 47, I think I'd be okay with it.
What would 15-year-old Michael say about 47-year-old Michael's fashion sense?
Phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Yeah, if 15-year-old me could go into my house right now and go through my closets, he would be fucking so proud of me because it's all there. It's all still there. I
He's
may
got
not pull it out as often, but
he's got some great sock game.
that shit comes out on vacation. When there's not a whole lot of people around to know you, you got to pull that shit out.
All right. So, all right, we're up to date, right? We got anything else to talk about your little life?
I mean, not really. None of you want to get into like illegal stuff because I don't. I don't
No,
want. Okay,
no,
all right,
I don't want you to lose your job and get fucking
right, right,
arrested.
right.
No, no, I just so all right. Now I'm going to ask you some 20 questions. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. I'm Angry Dave. Well, first, you know what? Why don't you tell an Angry Dave story since tell people why I deserve that nickname?
Well, if anybody who's ever met you immediately knows that you're angry constantly about everything all the time, no matter what, it could be the smallest thing possible in the world. Traffic patterns will drive you completely out of your fucking mind. It really is anything to do with somebody else making a decision that affects you, sends you it just sends you into a frenzy, and it doesn't even have to be expressed. It just you can see it on your face. It's just internal that it's just churning inside you because somebody put the exit sign on the wrong side of the door. Like it's something really really simple like that. Yeah, no, completely angry. I'm not going to get into like child tossing in the middle of the streets, but you've been known to throw a kid or two.
Yeah, I have gotten better though. Can we agree on that?
I think you talk about getting better. I don't know if it's actually getting better, but that's the first step.
Fuck you. All right. What makes you angry, Mike? What makes you angry?
That's a good question. What makes me the angriest is when someone gets it taken advantage of or hurt that doesn't deserve it. Someone who's completely unsuspecting or innocent or kind and has it, hypothetically thrown in their face. That pisses me off. Taking advantage of someone who can't defend themselves or can't stand up for themselves, that pisses me off.
Does that have anything to do with your upbringing, you
I
think?
think so. I think so. I don't think I've ever thought about it until you just asked me that question. But I think probably,
Yeah.
probably you know, yeah,
Yeah. I think it probably does. I'm going to be your fucking psychologist right now.
don't do that.
All right, I won't do that. What are you most proud of?
I think it's Ty. I am extremely internally proud of myself for the son that I was to my parents as they were, at the end of their lives. Everybody around me told me that, and everybody around me used to tell me, "Oh, you're such a great dad," and I would go, "Oh, yeah, it's no big deal." But I knew. Yeah, I'm very proud of the son and the father that I am, although both at times very much so imperfect.
Give us a really embarrassing story you have.
Well, I think you told one of them. I
Yeah,
think you told one of them. Yeah, there's been. How about the time I pissed on your couch? Do you remember that story?
I do.
So yeah, long night of Long Island iced teas, and Dave had an apartment up on Spruce Street, and I fell asleep on his couch and I pissed myself. So I guess probably about a week earlier, Dave had given me the matching couch to that couch, and I had it at my house. Um, so I took a cab home. I went and got the cushions, and I picked up some hoagies, and I brought them back to Dave's house. In the interim, Laura had sat on my wet spot. That didn't go so well, but that's a very embarrassing story Dave likes to tell
Yeah.
strangers and friends alike.
Yeah. An important part of that story is that my wife came out of her room naked.
She was naked.
She
Yeah.
was naked on the piss couch.
I wasn't there for that part, by the way.
No, he was not there. He was not there for that part. But she was like, I guess Michael sweat on the couch
Yeah,
last night.
sweat
Sweat.
buckets. Buckets of sweat.
There's plenty of those stories. Maybe someday we'll tell some of them.
Lots of embarrassing
Yeah, yeah,
stories.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of you pissing places.
Yeah.
Like my living room once where I had to put a bucket underneath you when you were
You
pissing.
did. You did. I forgot about that one. That was
Yeah.
on 12th Street.
Yeah, that was on
I
12th
stood
Street.
up and started peeing, and you just put a bucket in front of me.
Yeah, four
It's
o'clock in
good.
the morning. I had to carry you in the house, and you, you, you told you told me you wanted to fight me. You were blacked out drunk. You told me you wanted to fight me in the car on the way home, and I asked you if we could just fight after I parked, and in your mushmouth drunk voice said, "That's some pussy shit."
That is some pussy shit. Hey, fight me while you're parking, pussy.
Oh God, I fucking love you. All right, next question. I just lost it. I lost my train of thought here. Who is, who was slash the most important person in your life?
I got to go with my mom. Not just because of recency bias, but I watched my mom raise my sister and I, do everything and anything she possibly could to not let us feel the pressure, to always give us moments of happiness. She taught me a lot about character and morality, just like everybody else's parents. I'm sure that a lot of people would say their mom. I had a best friend relationship with my mom, especially towards the end of her life because she was so candid about her own morality. Yeah, definitely my mom, no doubt.
Tell us about a time you shit yourself.
I did. So I saw that I did shit myself. So I saw that question and I'm like, am I gonna tell this story? Yeah, I'll tell it. I was at work. I was at work at Penn and I had a shit bad. And I would only shit when I first started at Penn in the operating room locker room because it was sterile all the time and
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm
like
sorry.
I like I like to go shit there. So I go up to the locker room and I can't get in. They changed the lock. They changed the combination to get in the door and I'm sitting there and I got to shit. I got to shit and I can feel it. It's happening, right? So I get in there. I get into the stall. I make it into the stall, but at this point, there's shit in my pants. So I get in the stall and I'm wearing dress clothes, carefully pull my pants down on my underwear and there's just shit in my underwear. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I can't get my pants off because I'm going to get shit like on my shoes or on the outside. Like, I just can't do it, right? So I had my keys in my pocket. I cut my underwear off with my keys to be able to take them off like a fucking diaper and throw them out in the trash.
Some ninja shit.
Washed my ass in the sink with soap and water and paper towels and went back to work like it didn't happen.
That's exactly what.
Totally shit myself.
And then with the underwear and the fucking in
Threw them in the trash.
the trash.
The trash, yeah.
Here's a question I have for you. Were they uncomfortably warm? Like, was it warm and comfortable, the shit in your pants?
I just wanted it off me. I just wanted it off me. Yeah, I don't remember if it was comfortable. I doubt it. I don't think so. I don't feel like I felt like a baby, like I was finished and done. No, I don't feel like I had that.
Yeah, so my shit story I told in the first podcast. The most uncomfortable part about my shit story is that it was very comfortable and warm, and
That doesn't surprise me.
and I didn't mind it after a while because I was sitting in it for so long. But anyway, this is more about you. We'll talk about you. What's the best advice that you ever got?
It's tough to answer right off the bat. And quote an honest piece of advice from someone. I don't think I can. I don't think I can recall it that way. But just in general, um, calm down, relax. You know, ah, okay. I'll give you a piece of advice from my father, which I guess he quoted. It's I guess it's like a meme and a saying out there now. But I remember him telling me, "Don't sweat the small stuff, and everything is small stuff." So I know that there's some version of that everybody tells each other, but he told it to me, and I remember him saying it. It makes a whole lot of sense.
How about the worst advice?
Yeah, to do anything illegal. And anything illegal is bad advice. Just don't do it. It's never worth it. It's never ever worth it. There's no such thing as easy money. It just doesn't work that way.
Have you ever picked your nose and eaten it?
Yeah, I think everybody has.
I have not.
That's not true.
No, I haven't.
That can't be true.
It's not true.
Not even as a
You
kid.
you know the aversion I have to my nose.
This is true. This is
Just
true.
and it's not really.
Yeah, like you could be in a car or something, and what are you gonna do with that boogie? I mean, you don't have to actually eat it, but it can go in your mouth and you can spit it. Like that's yeah. I'm not even gonna act like I have it. Like, yeah.
Do you have any unreasonable fears?
I don't like heights.
Really?
I don't I don't mind bungee jumping, parasailing, things like that. I don't like climbing ladders. I do not yeah, like I really get scared shitless when I get above like maybe 15 feet or like really shaking.
What is it? Is it because it feels unstable?
I have no idea what that is. I don't know. I remember my grandfather was a roofer when I was a kid. He would, me and my cousins, he would, pay us to work with him. I couldn't do it.
All right, question 10. If you get arrested and nobody knows why you were arrested, what would your friends and family think happened?
DUI. Yeah, it would be DUI. It won't be anymore because I vowed not to do that anymore. But yeah, up until that point, because I'm not a person who would hurt anyone. I don't steal. So it would either have to be mistaken identity or a situation that I got put in and couldn't get out of, or DUI.
If I were to get arrested, you didn't know why would you think it was?
Probably the same thing. It would. I just think that beyond child tossing, I think you may be trying to get a hold of your anger a little bit more, where it's not going to result in a physical altercation. So yeah, I think the same thing about you. It wouldn't be a crime that you wanted to commit. It would be one that happened to you.
I appreciate that.
I think it's true.
Um, what's an everyday struggle for you? Like just something that you struggle with every day, like during your everyday life. For me, it's eating and how much I eat fucking Italian meats.
Oh, I overeat. I overeat like crazy. Yeah, I know you can't see this, and people that don't know who I am, but over the past, I don't know, 6 years, my weight has gone up and down and up and down. Yeah, I struggle with my diet. Again, keep setting this benchmark for myself. Man, you're almost 50 years old. You better calm down and start taking care of your body. But I overindulge. I go out and cook 2 pound steaks on my grill and eat them by myself because I feel like I deserve it. Meanwhile, I'm just killing myself. Uh, so yeah, overindulgent foods. I struggle with that every day.
Your favorite type of porn?
Favorite porn. It changes. It's always POV. It's got to be POV. Like it's got to be first person porn, or it doesn't work for me. I don't want to see somebody else.
Just for anybody that knows, I read this. I just looked it up. That's point of view porn, POV, for those that might not know. I'm
I
just.
said first person.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I wasn't
It's a
paying attention.
podcast. Pay attention.
I
If you
wasn't.
have headphones on, listen.
I wasn't paying attention. I just wanted to make sure that people
Yeah,
knew
but it's
that.
it's it's never just regular old porn. It's definitely black girls, Latinas. I don't know. I'm into like tattooed Germans lately. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's a phase. I'm not sure.
Tell what's one of your most favorite creative insults to use?
Creative insult for like a stranger.
Yeah, for anybody, like fucktard.
Yeah, I got a lot of them. I think like dick eater. Dick eater's one. Like I think that's pretty mean. I don't know. I feel like you could say one insult or curse word and it could be made into different things. Like I could say, he's a dickhead, like that. Or I can go, he's a fucking dickhead. Like, and there's a difference there. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's how you say it. Like you could say motherfucker and mean somebody's funny. That's a funny motherfucker.
Do you have a favorite curse word? I mean,
It's probably fuck. I say fuck all the time. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I say fuck in casual conversation.
yeah. I say fuck to my bosses pretty often.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
I don't know if it's good for my career, but where I am.
So far, so good, right?
If you had a whole day to yourself, you could do anything that you wanted. What would it be?
Golf. Yeah, that's easy. That's an easy answer. I do it all the time. Yeah, I make days for myself where I'll go. Like the other morning, I was going to go to work, but I didn't. So I went to a diner in the middle of nowhere that I'd never been to. Sat there, ate a full breakfast, watched a little Sports Center on my phone. Took my time, went to the golf course, had a nice little day.
What's it about golf that you love?
I like being alone. I like challenging myself. I love the fresh air. I love the quietness. I love that all those things can combine in one thing. You know, I like driving to places that I haven't seen before, like going to find a new golf course, seeing a new area, checking out maybe a farmer's market or something like that when you're passing. That's all part of it for me. I like to really stop the clock and take my time while I'm doing that.
Question 16. If you had a choice between having a 12-inch hammer, but you had to be 200 pounds overweight, or you had to have a micro penis, but you were always ripped, what would you choose?
I got to go little dick. I mean, because if you're 200 pounds overweight, you're going to die. I don't want to be a 45-year-old dead guy with a big dick. Like I don't know. I don't know. I, th- I think you got to go with always ripped, right? I don't know. Eat a lot of pussy. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know.
Figure another way, but you at least get bitches.
Yeah, yeah.
Women, I'm
Yeah, there's
sorry.
the yeah.
I'm trying not to get fucking canceled before I even post an episode.
Great. This episode's
Jesus
over.
H. Christ. Uh,
The last three questions I'm going to ask you. Do you respect women?
uh,
No, no, I'm kidding. Okay.
yeah, I mean one or two. If you could have one wish, what would you wish for?
Health. I would wish for health because based on my genes, and my lifestyle choices in my life so far, I don't think I'm going to live a very long life. So health. I think that that's the most important thing. Time is is running out on all of us. I like to cherish as much of it as possible.
I mean, you think this is this lifestyle choice, your genes things is reversible? I mean, you're not.
Not at this point. I think that it's partially reversible. I think that I could have a decent quality of life, and I think it can be generally healthy. I do think all those things are reversible as far as lifestyle choices, exercise, taking care of your body, but I don't think you could outrun your history. Not just my immediate parents, but lots of diabetes in my family, lots of heart disease. I don't know. Some of that's genetic, in my opinion.
No, right, right. Did you ever get caught having sex?
I thought about that when you say caught, like by a parent or somebody like that. I think
Whatever.
I've been walked in on by a roommate,
Yeah, that don't count.
um, but I don't think that counts.
How about catching your mom or dad
I
having
caught
sex?
my mom. I still have the image in my head.
Oh, well, we got
It's
to talk about
fucking
that.
horrible.
Let's
It's
talk about it.
horrible.
We got to talk about it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she's not around to hear what the fuck.
No, she doesn't know I caught her. I don't think. I don't think I ever told her. I told her most things that I did in my life, but I don't think I told her that. Yeah, I must have been like 13, and my mom got remarried. I'm not gonna say his name on here. I'm not gonna say it.
Bow, chicka,
Um,
bow, wow.
yeah, man, I walked in my mom's bedroom like it was nothing. Like I was just going in to get like I don't know anything. I don't know why I walked in there, but I walked in like no knock or nothing. Dude was on top of my mom, just giving it to her,
Ah!
and I was like, Fuck, man." So I just turned around and like I ran out the door. I think I might have left the house because I didn't want them to know that I saw that. I'm sure they had to know, but they were fucking going at it, dude. It was bad. It was bad.
Did he have a hammer?
His ass was in there. I don't know. It's fucking. I don't know. Oh god,
Did he have a nice ass?
he had a huge ass, dude. He was a big guy. He's a big guy. Yeah, I was
Oh.
like my poor mom. Like, it was bad. It was bad.
Is he suffocated?
Yeah, I was like she gonna be alright. You need help, mom? You gotta like be okay.
Does, does he have a French choke on
Oh,
her?
it's bad. It's bad. I could still see it. I could still see it in my head. Thanks a lot. I haven't thought about that in years. Thank you.
Her husband crushing her.
Ugh.
Fucking smashing.
No.
Was it at least like,
That's all right. I made him sign divorce papers years later. Don't worry about
was it at least missionary? It was like missionary?
it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on top of her, fucking drilling my mom. Ugh.
If you if you had to switch genders for one day, what would you do?
Ugh. I don't know. Probably use every man in the world to get their money because women could do that so well if they choose to. I don't know. I would hope I'd have a more creative response than that. You can't have a child in a day. So I don't know.
When it's all over, what do you want people to remember you for?
I had a sense of humor. I was nice to people. I cared truly about my friends. Um, you know this, but a lot of other people don't. I've tried to make it a habit to tell people that I love them, because I want them to know that every time I say it, I'm telling the truth. Um, so just that I cared about people, that I was a nice guy. Really, that's it.
You got anything else, buddy?
Let's go watch a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, by the way, it's Super Bowl Sunday. We're hosting this podcast right now because mostly because we fucking are, you can't sit still.
This worked. This was a great time killer.
Yeah, a nice, good, a little over an hour, killed an hour. We're gonna want to watch the Kansas City Chiefs lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we'll probably
What do you got for a score? Let's see if we can predict the future here.
31-20.
I got 33-24.
All right, and you got the Eagles winning, right?
Of course.
All right. Well, hopefully the next time I get on a podcast, the Eagles have won the Super Bowl. Me and Mikey, Motown Mike, me
Fucking
and
Motown Mike.
Motown motherfucking
I'm not
Mike.
from Detroit. It's fucking weird. Why would you
You're,
call me that? Is it because of my musical choices? I
because
don't
you
get it.
and you love the
Can
sisters.
you just not say anything that's not like it's got to be an M word, like Motown? Like can't be like my buddy Mike. Like it's got to be weird.
You like the sisters, Mike.
All right.
Listen, we're not going to end this podcast right now. You know why? We're going to do one more thing. What is your affinity with black culture? Let's talk.
I don't know where it came from. I think it started when hip hop started, breakdancing started, and all that did. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm very close to black people. I
You
always have been. I don't know where it comes from.
you have more black male friends than most black men.
Many.
I think black men would tell you that.
They absolutely do tell me.
Yeah. Strange. I am actually Michael's token white friend.
You are my token white friend.
I am known in the black.
But you didn't start that way.
No,
I thought
no.
you were black. That's the thing. That's the only reason I became friends with you.
I mean, did we meet in the summer?
No, it didn't start that way. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I think it has to do with musical taste. I think it has to do with spending time around so many good black families when I was younger, being exposed to different cultures, being accepted, um, and I don't know. It just worked out that way.
Yeah, I am known in Michael's community of friends as his token white friend,
You're White Dave.
White Dave. I
That's
am
that should be the name of your podcast, White Dave's podcast.
Angry White Dave.
Don't do that. No, don't
Yeah,
do that.
that's probably not a good one. Um,
That's a whole different podcast in
uh,
Kentucky somewhere.
you're a fucking Motown Mike. That's what you are.
It's whatever. I'm not. But
I'm
it's okay.
sorry. I love you, buddy. You know that. Um, I do appreciate the fact that you tell me you love me all the time, and it makes me want to tell other people that I love them as well.
Good. That's the idea.
And let's dedicate this one to your mom. Here's to Liz.
All right. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the second episode of this podcast with Motown Mike. Again, if you have any suggestions on questions or guests, please let me know. Peace.